Hello guys, Sid the IT guy here, and I'm back with another video where I'll be discussing the account level management aspect of the app, which I thought would be a good idea to integrate first so they can apply billing onto it, which is at the roadmap element number 9. And at the last, we will take a look at the GraphQL API and some implementations of it. So if you're interested in these topics, please consider liking and subscribing so it will help me be motivated to create these videos. And let's start. So first thing I created was the roles and permissions seeder where I decided what kind of roles I want in my app. So I took three roles: admin, super admin, and sub user. And for each of these roles, I created this role in the table. And for the management of permissions, I used the Spatey package. So this is the one package that I trust. It has been out there for a long time, so you should use that as well. And for the permissions, I took the permission all access, which I only intend to give to the super admin and nobody else. And after that, I created these permissions for the sub users and the administrators. So that's what I did after that. I looped over each of the permissions and I created the permission for it. And then I took these roles and gave them these permissions, which they will have by default. So the super admin has the all access permission, which means it can access everything. The administrators can have the permission to write everything, products, orders, customers, and members. And the sub user will have the permission to read everything, which means the products, orders, customers, and members. So in our app, I also installed the Laravel debug bar package, which is right here. So I can keep an eye on my app, like how many queries I'm running on each page. So it can help me optimize my code pretty efficiently. So on the My Team element, let's design a UI and let's start creating some users. So for this user, which is currently logged in, I have actually given it the administrator permission, which means if anybody installs this app, then they will get the permission of administrator by default. And let me show you the user seeder where I just created a super admin for my app. And that is it. After that, I assigned the role of super admin to it, and that is it. So when somebody installs the app, let me just add the logic real quick. Yeah, here we go. So the user is marked as verified, and after that I'll do user arrow assign role admin. Yeah, that will do it. So at each installation of the app, whoever is installing it, they will get the default role as administrator. So that is that. Let's close this out. And let's design the form where we can add team members to our account. So we have a UI setup going here where we are listing the team members which are already in the database. Right now there is none. So let me add a team member pretty quick. And in the web.php, I wanted to show you this where I've added the middleware permission of write members or read members. Anybody having any one of these two permissions should be able to access this page. And I have taken route resource. So I get all the index, create, show, and these methods in the controller, and that is that. So after that, we have this UI. So let's create one pretty quick test user one, and I will say test user one at gmail.com. Password I'll keep simple. 6 products, consumers. Yeah, let's do these permissions. So read products, read customers, and write orders. So if I submit it, sub user created, and if I go to my team, yeah, here we go. Read products, write orders, and read customers. And the role is sub user right here. So there's only two pages that is here, which is first one is the listing page and the next one is the add member page. But this is the part where I wanted to discuss the security portion of it a little, because this is HTML based. Any hacker can put their own input fields and send any information in the backend. So that is why I created this custom form request, create member. Inside that, this is a form request that we can create by using the PHP artisan make request command. And what this does is create this file, PHP artisan make request command. So what I did in this was the authorize method where I'm checking if the user is authentic logged in or not. If not, then return false. Otherwise, we have to check if they have the permission to write members in the app. So if that is true, only then this will work. So in the rules, I laid out these many rules because it's quite important to do here, especially with the permissions. So I did it array required and minimum one, which means that there has to be at least one permission when you create a sub user. And inside the contents of the permission, which is noted by permissions.star, I kept it required. I kept it string because each of those should be strings on itself. It should be distinct, which means one permission shouldn't repeat itself. And this I created because whatever I have defined as a default permission in custom.php, it should exist in that. So these are the default permissions that I took from the seeder that I created before, and I put this here. So if you take a look at the seeder that I created previously, so yeah, I am array merging the all access permission with these permissions. So I can separate out what is the permission I do not want to use inside the app. So after I did this, I took the create member request and I put this in the store method where I'm taking everything in the request and then the user which is authenticated. Then I'm creating this sub user where I would use the update or create method so the email addresses stay unique. And I assign it the same store ID that the authenticated user has. And after that, I'm assigning the role as sub user. I'm marking the email as verified. And after that, these permissions, I'm looping over it, which is in the request. And again, I'm checking if the current permission is inside this default permissions array. So only if that is true, then we will give the permission to this permission to the sub user. And when it finishes, then we can return back with the success message. So this is what I wanted to discuss a little regarding the security of the app. So I had to tighten up the security pretty much here because when we are dealing with roles and permissions, we really need to be careful in what we are allowing users to do on the app. So that is why I had to come up with these rules. Anyway, so on the My Team page, yeah, this is right here. It is rolling as sub user and this. So this is a good place to introduce the billing aspect of the app here. Let's make this process paid process, which means if you add a team member, then you would have to pay a fee of $2 for one time if you want to add this user. So let's do that. On the create page, I will simply on submit, I'll say pay to and submit. Yeah, so it says pay $2 and submit. And I will use the application charge API which Shopify provides. The URL is right here, and I will use the REST API, of course. So we will take a look at the create an application charge API where we are sending the application charge as parent. Inside that, the name and the price and the return URL. Yeah. So let's create an endpoint for this return URL that it specifies here. Yeah, it is the URL where the merchant is redirected after accepting a charge. So let's do that in web.php. I will do. So they should be authenticated. Shopify. Yeah, so prefix Shopify is already here, so I will use that itself. And I'll say route any accept charge. And I'll say Shopify controller class accept charge. And I'll name it accept.charge. Yeah. So let's do this. So basically, before returning back, what we need to do is we need to define an endpoint, and we will do get Shopify URL for store application charges.json. Yeah, and the store. So we can do user get Shopify store. Yeah, let's take the headers. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to define store equals Shopify store, and after that I can say store here, get Shopify headers, and I'll say store, and let it be anything. Then the payload, I can say JSON code, application charge as I'll name it something, and it's sub user email, and I will price it $2. I think like this, and I'll put the return URL as route accept.charge. Let's make that API call. Make, sorry, I have to take request straight in this file. After that, I can make a request like all to Shopify. I'll say post endpoint null headers and payload. Okay, so I took this URL, which is applicationcharges.json, and I sent the store here. Then I took the headers for the store, and for the payload, I created this payload right here, application charge as the parent, and the name I did sub-user this. Price is $2. Test is true because obviously our store is a test store, so we cannot process real payments. And the return URL as Shopify slash accept slash charge. So then I made this API call. So this is the response that we got, status code as 201, and the body is an array in which the application charge is a parent, and we have these details. So let's take these details and save it in our database. But for now, we will skip that. And we will take this confirmation URL and we have to redirect to it. So let's do that. And so I'll just check here if response status code equals 201. Yeah, so to 201. Only then I will take the body as response body application charge, and inside that I will simply do return redirect body confirmation URL. Completed the flow where if we add a member, then I have to pay $2 for this, which I have set in my app. You can change it to whichever price you want. So then if I do test user 4 and I do test user 4 at gmail.com, I do 1 2 3 4 5 6 4 5 6, and I do write access for everybody, and I submit it. Then it will redirect to my Shopify store, and I have to approve the charge here. Yeah. So if I click here, then it will hit the return URL on the app itself, which I have created it on the Shopify controller, where I have mentioned this accept charge. So what it will do, it will take the charge ID that will be provided by Shopify and the user ID which I provided it in the payload. So in the payload, you can see app URL, accept charge user ID equals sub user ID. So I will do that, and I will make the request to application charges slash charge ID dot JSON. And if the status code is exactly equal to 200 and the application charge exists and the status is active, only then I will redirect with the success message. Otherwise, I will delete the user ID from here because obviously it is not a paid sub user. And I will redirect saying that some problem occurred while processing the transaction. Please try again. So let's try it out. If I click approve, then yeah, it says sub user created, and in my team page right here, I have got right products, right orders, right customers, and right members. So pretty simple code here on the team controller. After I created the sub user, I began a transaction in the DB, because at any point, if any exception got thrown, I didn't want any kind of data to be saved in the DB. So I updated or created it first. After that, I assigned the role. Then I marked the email as verified. And after that, I gave the permissions. And after that, I took the endpoint by getting the application charges JSON endpoint, took the headers, created this payload of application charge. This is where the price is hard coded. You can change it anytime you want. Kept the test equal to true because my shop is a test shop, obviously. Then the return URL as the Shopify slash accept slash charge user ID equals the sub user ID of this sub user that I just created, and then the response. And if the status code is exactly equal to 201, then I'm taking the application charge parent index, I'm committing it, and then I'm redirecting to the confirmation URL. Otherwise, I'm rolling back the changes that I made above here, and I'm returning back itself saying that it could not be created. So this is the flow for a single charge that you could charge the users to in order to make some money on their Shopify app. So we covered both permissions management and charges API. So this is the end of this video. In the next video, I will show you the recurring application charge API and how you can build the app users on a subscription based model. And in the next video after that, I will show you the GraphQL API implementations, and the tutorial will end. So if you have liked my videos this far, please consider liking and subscribing. It will really help me be motivated to make these videos. Peace.